So I've just watched IBM's earnings presentation, and you can thank me by liking and subscribing to this video because, I mean, dear God, was it boring. Okay, I nearly fell asleep multiple times and it was so hard to stay concentrated on that. There's probably a good chance that I may have missed some of the good parts of this presentation maybe. So if I have, by all means, please comment in the section below. Um, I tried to stay awake for it. I tried to kind of concentrate on it as much as I could. It's just really, really hard. All right, so let's just go over the various different elements of the earnings call. So first of all, we've got total revenue of 20.4 billion, which is down 6%. Um, Total cloud revenue of 7.5%, which is up 10%. Again, great. That's a good number. Red Hat revenue up 19%, or 17% adjusted for currency. So again, obviously growth in the cloud sector. Red Hat's growing, which is what you would want to see with this business. That's kind of the direction that they're pushing themselves, and it's really kind of the future of this business is within the cloud sector. So that cloud revenue and the Red Hat growing their revenue is obviously the perfect thing that we want to see. And they've also said that their gross profit margin of 51.7%, which is up 70 basis points, an operating gross profit margin of 52.5%, again up 70 basis points. Now, the issue that we have with that is obviously that sounds like a really great number. It seems like they're doing very well. Yet when you compare it to this quarter last year, despite the fact that we seem to be earning a higher percentage of profit, we also don't seem to be making any money, which is a little bit of a concern, to be honest. So let's just go back over those numbers then. So the revenue, total revenue, is down 6%, or down 8% when you adjust for divested business and currency. So, I mean, it's not looking good, is it? When you've got the important elements of your business are growing, and they're doing quite significant growth, and yet your overall business is still in decline. That's the concern, and that's the concern that I've raised already in my previous video about IBM. So then you look at Red Hat revenue and the total cloud revenue, and you see those positive numbers, and you're thinking, well, Red Hat growth 20%. That's really great. But when you actually look at other competitor platforms, Microsoft Azure grew 50% over the same kind of period. So that's, again, it's a bit concerning that they must be effectively losing market share. It's just not good, is it? Really? I know you shouldn't really base a company analysis on such a basic thing as this, but the investor presentation that I've just endured is pretty much exactly the kind of thing that I would expect from IBM, and it's exactly the reason why I'm shorting IBM. Now, I've not watched investor presentations from their competitors, right? So I've not seen Microsoft's and I've not seen Amazon investor presentations. They may have been equally as dull. But I've watched companies like Nvidia, Disney, Tesla, and they're actually interesting. They engage with you. You actually feel like you're understanding what the company is doing, and you get excited about the way the company is going forward. IBM basically just gave you death by PowerPoint. And that's exactly how I kind of see the company, is this kind of like 1980s company that still does things in such an old-fashioned way that I really don't see them adapting to the future. And it's why I think their current systems are failing, and it's why I just don't see them as being that kind of market leader that they kind of need to be right now. Now, obviously, they also spoke in the presentation about Nuco, the company that's kind of like diverging from IBM. They're kind of splitting the company into two, and this new company is going to be a new company. And it kind of feels like, to be honest, like when you see a space rocket go up in the air, and you've got like the huge part of it that is like the fuel tanks and everything, and then you get a tiny little bit that shoots off, and the tiny little bit that shoots off is the bit that's actually important and that does stuff, and then the rest of the ginormous rocket is effectively then wasted and just falls back down to the ground, completely irrelevant. And I kind of feel like that could be what's going to happen with IBM. I see this new company is kind of coming off and staying relevant, and the rest of IBM kind of just disappearing. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's the way it looks to me right now. And looking at the post-market price at the moment, the market's not really liked it either. Share price was down about 6 to 7% last time I was checking. So yeah, it's not looking good. It's not looking good. So that's my thoughts. That's the way the presentation went today. There was absolutely nothing exciting or interesting, really, for me that came out of that presentation. No reason to change my existing investment. They even came out at the end with the fact that their forward-looking statement and what they're looking for as their results for next year, how they're still expecting to grow their revenue, etc., etc. However, when you look at last year's results, at the end of that, they also said the same, that they were going to grow their revenue and they were going to do X, Y, Z, and it didn't happen. Now, I can hear you saying, global pandemic has caused issues. You're right, I completely understand that. However, we're talking about a business that operates cloud services. This is the kind of business that should be booming at this time. Yes, okay, their core business will be going down, but they should be really reaping the rewards and growing the cloud services. Microsoft did, like I said, Microsoft grew Azure by 50% or thereabouts, and yet Red Hat only grew by 20%, or 19%. So there's definitely that kind of lag there, and that's for me, that's one of the biggest concerns, is the fact that they just seem to be, they're growing because the market's growing. However, they're not gaining market share. So to an extent, once the market stops growing, it's a good chance that they're then going to start declining. So that's my thoughts. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.